What makes a good Christmas gift? Let me maybe go a step further. What makes the perfect Christmas gift? If you haven't bought your Christmas gifts at this point, it's probably too late to maybe even to get a good Christmas gift, certainly the perfect Christmas gift. But I was thinking about that a little bit this week as I did my Christmas shopping. Yes, I did it this week, but I'm done 2 days early. But I was thinking, if you really want to find the perfect Christmas gift, there needs to be at least 3 things. One thing that makes for a perfect Christmas gift, or at least a good gift, is the timing. The timing has to be right. So I remember when my boys were a little younger, we would go to the store to pick out Christmas presents. We'd go to the toy department. And I remember as I picked up toy after toy saying, this is way better than when I was a kid. So like compare the Nerf guns. The Nerf guns they have, there's like an arsenal of Nerf guns, right? Nerf weapons. They fire fast and they fire straight and they fire like many shots per second. You know what I had? I had one of those plastic revolvers with the rubber dart with the suction cup on the end. You were lucky if it actually made it out of the end of the barrel when you pulled the trigger. I mean, they're amazing. And I looked at them, I'm like, wow, where were these when I was a kid? And you know what? No one bought me a Nerf gun last year. And I was okay with it. Because 3 decades ago, I would have loved it. But as exciting as they are, it's not that exciting to me anymore. So the timing is key. A second thing that makes a good gift is need. Like some of you will probably go home and open presents tomorrow night, or you'll open them Sunday morning, and you'll hold up something and you'll say, thanks, I really needed this new coat. Or thanks, I needed these new shoes. Or thanks, I needed that framed picture of Adam Darnell. Some of you college students might receive a Starbucks gift card and say, this is perfect. I'm going to hold on to this for like 4 months because I'm going to need this caffeine for finals in the spring, right? This is perfect because I need it. So timing and need. A third thing is sacrifice. If you know that someone loves you enough that they gave up something in order to give you something, that makes for a very meaningful gift. When I was much younger, my parents took me and my 3 brothers to Florida to spend a day at Disney World. So they were both teachers, so it was hard enough to feed 4 boys every week. I'm not quite sure how they put aside enough money for all 6 of us to pile in the VW camper van and drive from Michigan to Florida for a day at Disney. And the further we get from it, the more amazed I am that they somehow sacrificed to make it possible. So each of these things on their own, the timing and the need and the sacrifice, make a really good gift. But if you have more than one, that's when the gift really becomes special, right? So if you have a need and someone gives you a gift at just the perfect time, right? Need and timing come together, like that's one of those gifts you never forget. Now, if all 3 happen at the same time, like that can be a life-changing gift, right? That's maybe the perfect gift. Well, as we celebrate Christmas, I want to think for just a couple minutes about how God gave us the perfect gift. Because he gave us a gift at just the right time, which meets our greatest need and required the costliest sacrifice. So the gift God gives us came at just the right time, meets our greatest need, and required the costliest sacrifice. So I just want to meditate together on 2 verses just for the next 5 or 6 minutes. They're from Galatians 4. It says this: when the time came to completion, God sent his son, born of a woman born under the law, to redeem those under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. So the timing of God's gift was perfect. God made a promise to the very first humans. We've sung actually about it already this evening, but he made a promise to Adam and Eve that he would one day send a gift that would fix the brokenness of our world and fix the brokenness inside each one of us. And then for thousands of years, he repeated that promise to successive generations. And the longer it went, the more it became obvious that God had to intervene, that humanity was not getting better. Humanity was not going to solve this problem on its own. And so in the midst of the darkness, when the timing was perfect, God intervened by sending his son. Right? Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive her king. The long-awaited promise was kept when God sent Jesus into the world to take on humanity, or as the verse says, to be born of a woman. The eternal Son of God perfectly united deity and humanity in one person. So his timing of his gift was perfect, but so was the need. Like God sent his Son because of our need. It says in verse 5, he came to redeem those under the law. Well, the law there is God's law. His world was designed to operate in a specific way, and there's only one right way to live in his world. And this is the law, and we're all subject to it, and all of us have violated it. And because we violated God's law, we stand under the law's judgment. Our disobedience has consequences. So all the mess that we see in the world, all the mess that we see in even the relationships we have, this is the direct result of humanity's rebellion against God's law. But Jesus came, it says, to redeem us from the law. This is here a picture of a prison. Because of our great debt to the law, this debt we cannot pay, we're enslaved, and we're sitting there and we're waiting for judgment. There's no way for us to escape. There's no possibility of satisfying the law's requirements. But then God, because of his great love, determines to rescue us from slavery. He pays our debt so we can be free. And not only that, it says he brings us into his family. He adopts us as sons. So his gift is not only freedom, it's adoption. It's a place in his family. We belong to him. Maybe this is one of the reasons we gather as families at Christmas time with those we know that we belong to them in a unique and special way. Is because this pictures how God has brought us into his family, that we belong to him in this unique way. So think about this. Instead of being penniless and in prison, we now belong to the one to whom everything belongs. That God has done what was necessary so that in our greatest need, he would secure our future. And how did this happen? How did God, in the perfect time, meet our greatest need? He did it through costly sacrifice. He sent his Son to us as a gift. I mean, this is what we've been singing about in song after song. That Jesus, the very Son of God, gave up his rightful place at the right hand of his Father. He willingly took on humanity with all of our weakness. But unlike us, he never rebelled against God's law. He fulfilled it perfectly. The law, therefore, could not judge him, but he still chose to be judged by the law. Instead, though, when he stood in the courtroom and he was being judged by the law, instead of being judged on his record, he chose to be judged based upon our record so that he could pay for our sin with his death in our place. So the perfect Son of God became sin for us and suffered in our place so that we could be forgiven and adopted as God's sons. Now, what do we do with gifts? Now, kids, I want to ask you, how many of you are excited to open gifts? Okay, if you're like the boys at my house, the young men at my house, you've already been trying to figure out how soon you can open gifts. There's conversation they're having about opening gifts tonight, not happening. Opening gifts tomorrow night, still not happening. Right? They want to open them. I don't think there's a person in this room who's going to go home, see all the gifts around the tree, forget about them. Months later, come back, dust them off and say like, oh, what were these? Then just toss them in the trash without looking at them. Right? None of us do that. Why? We're excited about these gifts that were so lovingly purchased for us. And so we make a time and we build these traditions around receiving the gifts. Right? We open them. Right, kids? We open gifts. That's what they're for. See, that's what we do with the gift of Jesus. We receive the gift by faith. The Apostle John said this. He said, to all who did receive him, he gave them the right to be the children of God. In other words, to become one of God's children means we receive Jesus. To those, it says, who believe in his name. That's what it means to receive him. Who were born, it says, born into God's family, not of natural descent, not because of where they came from, or the will of the flesh, not because they determined to do it, or the will of man, but simply of God. Can you imagine opening up the gifts with Grandma and Grandpa there? You're opening up the gifts and Grandpa, there's always, of course, it's going to be Grandpa. He's jotting down things as you're opening the gifts. And you're like, that's a little weird. Doesn't seem to be paying much attention. Like, it's not excited. He's just writing things down. And you finish and open all the gifts. And Grandpa hands you a bill. He says, here, this is what you owe. right? He wouldn't do that. Hopefully, grandpas don't do that, right? That'd be terrible because we all understand this. This is a gift. You don't pay for a gift. You don't purchase a gift. You don't open up your checkbook and write a check so that you can earn your gifts, right? Why do grandpa and grandma, why do mom and dad give the gifts? Because they love their children. God loves you. God loves you. And that's why he gave the perfect gift to you, right? In your moment of greatest need, God offers you the gift of life, freedom, and adoption through Jesus Christ. I mean, that's what Christmas is in a sentence. That in your moment of greatest need, God offers you this gift through Jesus Christ of life, of freedom from sin, freedom from punishment, and ultimately of adoption, a place in his family. So let me just encourage you over the next 2 days as you give and receive gifts, maybe even tonight, kids, if you can talk your parents into it. But as you give gifts, as you receive gifts, that you take a little bit of time and just think about the gift that God has given you and ask yourself this question: have I received this perfect gift by faith? Will you pray with me?